Other interesting cultural news: you have a California mom fired for trying to protect her kids. This woman who is actually an employee of a real estate company called Compass, which perhaps there's a metaphor in and of itself. The company is so morally vacuous, their compass is skewed, or certainly pointing the wrong direction. I say this because this mom, all she did was she went to a school board meeting and voiced her concerns about sexual themes in public schools at inappropriate age levels. And it'll be interesting to play a little clip here. And of course, the internet, as soon as she went in front of the school board, the internet hunted her down, and basically they found out who her employer was and pressured the employer, saying if you don't fire this person, we're going to complain to our newsletter of 1,100 people. And unfortunately, the company, instead of sticking up for the employee and freedom of speech, they acquiesced to the mob. So this is a short summary of the gal Janet, and then inside there we also have the video of her interacting with the school board.
Open-minded? Is this a town that values free speech? If you disagree with
It should be noted, I believe this is in California, so the answer would be no. Not usually, no.
someone, would you contact their employer and demand they be fired? Here is my story. I was enjoying life in this beautiful small town with a happy family and a successful career. And as a mom of 3, I'm an advocate for my children, so I pay attention to what they are teaching in the schools. Did you know the Benicia Unified School District just approved new sexual education curriculum? On April 20th, I spoke at the school board meeting to say I disagreed with several items.
How dare she? As we're told, the schools know best. It's the teachers' children is what the government officials tell us.
In the new lesson plans. You can hear what I said in the public video.
It's also kind of disappointing when you see all these videos when citizens are bringing up their concerns. The room of bureaucrats or the school boards, all those folks, all the officials are there because they get paid to be there, so of course, or they're volunteers. But the whole room is usually empty because I suspect most parents don't realize what on earth is going on. So that's the upside of thanks to technology. People are starting to see this come more and more to the light. And of course, as wise man once said, sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Provided by the school district on their YouTube channel. Within days, letters were written to the Benicia Herald, the Vallejo Times-Herald, and my company's corporate headquarters saying I was anti-equity, anti-trans, anti-black, anti-choice, and a homophobe because I dared to disagree with the new school curriculum.
What? Just because you don't want kids taught sexual themes, you're against all those things? It's almost like an indoctrination to a cult. You must believe everything, unwavering. If you disagree an iota, just a little bit, then you must be against everything they stand for. Which I think is a lot of people in the middle, politically speaking, and socially speaking, culturally speaking, where they just have certain beliefs and usually feel politically ostracized or homeless.
They call me a hateful bigot, a Nazi, a daughter of Hitler, and repeatedly identified me as a Compass real estate agent.
So actually, I'm going to go back to this. This is the video where she actually goes to the school board.
Hello.
Let me bring this up real quick.
I'm Janet Robertson. I have 3 children in the district, elementary school, middle school, high school. At the last meeting, my time to speak was cut short.
Another disgusting thing you see, the rooms are usually empty. There's no reason to cut a parent's time short except to censor their ideals and their beliefs. And because the schools know, like most morally vacuous people, their ideals are so perverse, so disgusting, the only way their ideas can stand is by censoring the opposition. Our country used to be a place where everyone had the good belief that I might not agree with what you have to say, but I'll fight to the death for your right to say it. I truly hope we get back to that point, hopefully sooner than later.
And there was so much to say about the new sexual education curriculum. I realized the curriculum has already been approved. I also realized that Miss Rice, who I incorrectly was referring to as a doctor last month, explained that only 3 families out of 4,500 students in Benicia voiced concern about the curriculum. Our family has also been told that we can simply have our...
Yes, but how many of those families really know what's in that curriculum? That's what I want to know as well.
Children opt out of the sex ed classes if we have an issue with the classes. But I would like to say to you, who are entrusted to represent and make decisions for our children, and to the community that may be watching this video, that we have a big concern with what is now being taught to children as young as 10 in Benicia, such as Children are being asked to identify their pronouns, and this is now part of the 10-year-old curriculum.
What?
This forces a gender discussion beyond the scope of the state requirements and complicates an already overburdened classroom environment. We are alarmed that gender identity is now being discussed in math classes.
What?
This
You see this subject creep more and more, and I mean that in more than one way, metaphorically speaking. But what does it? You saw this in Florida. What does this have to do with math? Why are you injecting these political and sexual themes into mathematics? Unless these teachers, many of them, not all, but they're almost obsessed. They're more activists than teachers.
takes time from core learning and does not benefit the students or our community. Teaching kids that there isn't any standard or truth and that you can believe anything you want to believe is not scientifically accurate or medically correct. For example, the notion that a girl can decide to be a boy or a boy can decide to be a girl is not true and should not be taught. The new curriculum teaches that individuals can decide if they're male or female, regardless of anatomy, does not explain that a boy cannot menstruate and a girl cannot impregnate someone.
I was going to say there used to be a time when those were not controversial statements in the health class, but I can't imagine how do you teach a health class in 2023 in some of these public schools? I guess you could just say individuals may or may not experience X, Y. Like, I would love to see an actual exam or like a written test. Like, how do they score that? Because, yeah, let's see
Janet
here.
Robertson, I have 3 children.
Let me pull it up here.
Discussion beyond the scope of the state requirements for learning and does not benefit the students or our community. Teaching kids that there isn't any standard or truth and that you can believe anything you want to believe is not scientifically accurate or medically correct. For example, the notion that a girl can decide to be a boy or a boy can decide to be a girl is not true and should not be taught. The new curriculum teaches that individuals can decide if they're male or female, regardless of anatomy, does not explain that a boy cannot menstruate and a girl cannot impregnate someone. This is not scientific or medically accurate. Our 10-year-olds will now be taught that they can receive puberty blockers to prevent their body from going through changes that make them uncomfortable.
Another lie we're consistently told is that there's no side effects. There's studies on this. No, they're treating these kids as just morally vacuously just treating these children as guinea pigs because there are no long-term studies about that, and you're not using the drug as intended, which is also used to be a medical. You get sued for that by going. They used to call it going off-label in the medical pharmaceutical practice.
All humans are uncomfortable during adolescence. To teach vulnerable children that a lifetime of dependence on medical care is a viable option is completely unacceptable and evil, frankly. The new curriculum encourages gender confusion, not gender clarification. All parents should question how this is helpful, scientifically sound, or medically accurate. 12-year-olds will now be taught about oral and anal sex. 12-year-olds.
And what? Who thinks that's appropriate? And again, I don't see. Again, have you heard any hate from her? Is she disparaging any specific group or people? Right now, it sounds like she's being very articulate and saying exactly the themes that she doesn't think is age appropriate for children. And there was a time when every American said, "Oh yeah, certain things are age appropriate." They used to be a thing.
So I get a little emotional about this because I think that's wrong. The Ed Code 51933 requires that instruction and materials should be appropriate for use of pupils of all races, genders, sexual orientations, and ethnic and cultural backgrounds. Teaching children about oral and anal sex violates this law, since several cultures would not find this teaching appropriate. When we asked, we were told the reason the curriculum removes the idea of male and female was to be more inclusive, but no longer identifying females as having ovaries and males as having testes is not scientific, not medically accurate, and not true. It's nonsense. It's not a choice. People are not gender fluid, and to teach our children this is not okay. We're appalled that the school district has adopted this curriculum.
Thank you. Thank you.
If anybody wants information on where to find this information in the curriculum, I've researched it very thoroughly. I'm happy to provide that.
Thank you.
So she was not yelling. She wasn't insulting anyone. She wasn't saying anything that's disparaging. She was just saying, here's XYZ topics I do not think are child appropriate. And I'd like to think most adults would agree with her. I mean, most areas in the U.S. you don't teach sex ed until they're much older. Yet, in addition to these other things, which is another thing that should be publicly debated, is what do we consider child appropriate, and give us actual materials. Don't obfuscate the truth and hide the truth and censor the truth. There are actually some teachers unions that won't even allow you to have a copy of the curriculum that shows all this. So it also makes you wonder, what are they hiding? Why are they so defensive? So that was her. That's what everyone is complaining about. That speech. That got people irate, apparently so angry that they reached out to her employer and got her fired. For voicing her concern for her children? How morally vacuous, and how much time do you have to have on your hands to actually look into where she works, hunt that data down, and then blackmail that company into bending the knee so that they would fire her for this? So I'm going to go back to the video she made talking about, this is an employer that dropped me. An employer it looks like it was quite a large, successful company, so they could have stuck to their guns. There's no reason that they had to actually fire her. I'm going to say, truth be told, is this the one time I'm going to have trouble with X, formerly known as Twitter? Oh no, it's just...
Caved to the bully's demands.
My internet, my bad.
The treasurer of the Progressive Democrats of Benicia demanded that Compass provide answers about what I said at the school board meeting.
And this is one of the most pathetic things of all. The people who are complaining to Compass, the employer, they're claiming, oh yeah, our post will reach between 1,300 people and 1,500 people. Even if you go by the rule of thumb of people who have a negative interaction with a business will tell between 6 to 7 people on average, or 10 people, that's still less than 15. It's still a handful of thousand people. So this company caved in the weakest, most possible way. And I don't know why you would ever respond to threats like that. If you don't fire this person, we're gonna send this to our mailing list of people who have way too much time in their hands. And they're saying in the biz, oh yeah, we'll reach 1,300, 1,500 people. So what? Compass has, I believe, 28 to 33,000 employees and even more customers. And yet they're scared by a mob of 1,300 to 1,500 people. How cowardice of a company could that? That's disgusting.
Meeting where she would go public, in her words, about Compass not reining in hate for transgender kids.
Where did she say anything that was hateful during that speech? Let me know in the comments. Did you hear anything that was hateful or coercive about groups of people or folks who are transitioning in her speech to the school board? If anything, that was one of the most respectful speeches, a fair amount of decorum. She just articulated her points. She didn't yell, she didn't swear, she didn't disparage any groups, as far as I can tell.
She even gave a deadline for her demands, and sure enough...
Like a hostage. You need to fire this employee by this date, this date, this date, or we're going to cancel you.
Like clockwork, Compass informed me that I could no longer be associated with them by her deadline date. So my entire business, everything
Cowards.
I had invested was gone, just like that. By strangers who have never met me, and newspapers who never even contacted me before printing hateful lies, none of which are true. The people who wrote to the newspapers and to Compass intentionally interfered with my business. What they did is illegal. But because of anti-SLAPP laws in California, I cannot protect myself or go after them for destroying my career, even though what they did is against the law.
Ah, good old California. Great for business. Oh, wait, no, it's not great for business. Great for people. Oh, wait, no. It's good weather, though, usually, except for the poop on the ground in San Francisco. But besides from that.
How can it be that in America, a mom who speaks at a school board meeting can be targeted and canceled, losing her livelihood? What does that say about our community?
Now, again, she's in California. I would implore her to move towards somewhere like Florida or Texas, where they have much more of an understanding for their teachers, or more importantly, the parents. Now, obviously, not the whole states, and not every school district is perfect. Of course, there's going to be some outliers, but I can't imagine that happening in those other areas. I would hope not. I pray not.
Do you believe in diversity and inclusion? Are you truly open to diversity of opinion
No.
and inclusion of all beliefs?
That's one of the most disgusting things is hypocrisy. So many of these people say, "Oh yeah, we want diversity," except for diversity of opinion or diversity of thought. Just look at any pun or any advertisement. Catholics, Christians, they're always the butt end of the joke. They're always excluded from the conversation. So that's why I find it morally vacuous when people say, "Oh yeah, they want diversity," but they don't want to hear about your opinion or your experiences or your group. Why not treat everyone equal like our country was founded on? Hopefully we'll get back to that sometime soon.
Or do you think people who disagree with you should be silenced? To the Progressive Democrats of Benicia, whose website states their core principles are inclusion and tolerance.
Ah, the irony. They're not tolerant of her or trying to protect her kids. They found that intolerable.
I challenge you to truly be inclusive and tolerant. Do you believe Benicia is a better place if everyone who disagrees with you is financially ruined and canceled? You've called me the most hateful things imaginable.
What? Have these... Oh, obviously they've never... So many people have never seen real turmoil. They think she was... They actually think she was hateful, evil, and a threat. Go to Cuba. Go to Venezuela. These people have never experienced any hardships or any real experiences when it comes to those. It's mind-boggling how mentally vacuous as well some of these people are.
Untrue. Why? Because I disagree with you? To the School Board of Benicia, do you think parents who disagree sometimes should be canceled?
Well, they probably do, and the FBI actually classified some parents as terrorists for having the audacity to go to a board and ask questions.
I went from a vibrant, contributing member of your community to an outcast because I disagreed and spoke at a school board meeting. Is this the town you want? If concerned parents can be labeled as bigots and compared to Nazis in letters published in the local news...
Also, one of the laziest analogies or comparisons ever. Every single comparison always does that.
Papers. What does that say about Benicia? Learn more at canceledinbenicia.com.
Well, it tells me everything I need to know about that city. I've never visited there. I've never. Well, it's also all the way in California, and I like to keep what little income I make and reinvest it back in the company, not give it up to the state with the state income tax. But yeah, I hope she and her family goes somewhere that's actually truly tolerant of actually having tolerance of ideals and philosophies, and somewhere that actually wants to protect the kids. Now, thankfully, this got a lot of support thanks to Elon and X.com or Twitter.com for now. I'm surprised they haven't changed the URL yet. They probably will soon. But yeah, we had an issue, or we had the Compass company. They actually did speak briefly on the TikTok, or not the TikTok, on the Twitter, and they said this person was not an employee of Compass. She's an independent contractor who worked on an agent team, and the decision to disassociate her license was made at the request of her team's owner in April 2023. Now, that was immediately ratioed beyond all belief. So that comment by Compass, again, that was a response to this video, that one had 73,000 views, but only had 119 people like it, which, considering they're a business with 20 to 30, I think it was 28 to 33,000 employees. That means not even your employees are following the company or liking what the company said, which should be pretty indicative in and of itself. Now, the response to that, to the Compass statement, was from Libs of TikTok. And she said, the timing of the team owner's request must be totally coincidental. Just a few days after Janet's speech at the school board and after the Compass was pushed to fire her, can Janet rejoin Compass on another team? Libs of TikTok, even though they got half the views at 38,700, they got 1,607 likes, also known as being ratioed and viscerally roasted, as the youth might say. Now, Elon Musk actually chimed in as well. He said, Compass, did you really fire this person for this reason? He got 17,600 likes and 571,000 views. So probably one of the biggest values of Elon is making, not only just making the platform interesting, but he's pretty involved with all these conversations. And as of today, again, it's a very fluid situation. That she might get rehired tomorrow, but I doubt it. But it seems like her career for that particular real estate company is over. So she lost everything for trying to protect her kids. How morally vacuous of a business do you have to be to ostracize and fire her? Disgusting. Needless to say, if I ever do have the privilege of someday having enough money to purchase a house, which I hope to someday, then I will not be using them as my source for my real estate agency or my purchasing needs. And hopefully she does find a better job and a company that does value protecting their children, as well as free speech, which unfortunately are becoming traits and values that are all too rare in the United States in 2023. But I always say, time shall tell. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Trying to get again to 3,000 subscribers by the end of August, so you can click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to take the time to like and comment. Those things also really help with the algorithm to get the video shared. And also appreciate your feedback. It helps make the channel better and better. Helps improve the technologies, whether I'm putting the prompters on my monitors in front so I can keep eye contact a little bit better, or it's whether me being a little bit more bombastic with my hand gestures and my voice, and even working to try to slow down my voice, which again is something I'm always trying to work on more and more. All the feedback is greatly appreciated. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.